Hello. Thank you for watching. Within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, there is no doubt about the veracity of the Book of Mormon. Whether it is from God, that's a dogma of the religion. If you don't believe that, then you're not a member. If you technically got baptized, maybe you're a member technically because of that, but that's a fundamental. You're in rebellion or not in agreement with the fundamentals, the basics of the church if you don't believe that. But the church does not have an official position more specific than the Americas about where the Book of Mormon took place. So there's some debate. A brief summary of the different theories or beliefs about where it took place. Some people think it's the entire North and South America. Some people think it was Central America. I'm convinced of the Heartland of North America model. And here are some of the reasons why I'm convinced of that, well, and not convinced of the Central American model of where the Book of Mormon took place. One is comparing the Nephite temples, which, well, since we don't have an official position about where the Book of Mormon is, I'm just talking about the description we get of the temples in the Book of Mormon, and the Central American pyramids. And I find them lacking. The Nephite temples were modeled after the manner of the Temple of Solomon, which you could describe as a more permanent version of the tabernacle which Moses built in the wilderness. The Solomon temple and the tabernacle were both rectangular, cube-shaped, not pyramid-shaped, unless you are claiming that every model of those buildings and every painting of those buildings that I have ever seen were wrong, and that Solomon had a big pyramid built in Jerusalem, or a minor pyramid, a pyramid. So I'm not convinced of Central America because of those buildings. Those are not Nephite temples. Temples, real, true temples of God, and this has been true for the whole time on this earth, are for worshiping God, to separate yourself from the world. The ceremonies have changed somewhat, but it's always been about that. Even when we had the pre-atonement temples of Solomon and Herod and the tabernacle, where animal sacrifices were being done, and those were being done outside, maybe for a good reason, like so you don't stink up the inside of a building with a stink that would never go away. And so you'd have somewhere for the blood to drain to that was not inside the floor of a building. When those sacrifices were being done, you still would go inside of a wall. There was an outer wall to go through to get to where the sacrifices were being done. They were not done for everyone to be seen. It was a thing between the person offering the sacrifice and the priest doing the sacrifice and God. Now, pyramids, some of these Central American pyramids especially, have a little thing on top. Now, that little tiny thing on top, that's not about just you getting close to God. That's so everyone can see you up there. And they use some of those, maybe all of them, definitely some of them, for a human sacrifice. So, if you say that the Central American pyramids are evidence that that's where the Book of Mormon took place, you are accusing, and if you're saying those are Nephite pyramids, the pyramids of Central America are Nephite ruins, then you are saying that the Nephites performed human sacrifices. Now, the Nephites and the Mulekites left Jerusalem really close to the same time. And then they didn't meet each other for 400 and something years. When did they meet each other? When Mosiah left the land of Nephi with whichever Nephites would follow him before the rebellious, evil Nephites who would not follow him were killed off by the Lamanites. So, the Central American model of the Book of Mormon has the Mulekites and the Nephites really close together, definitely a lot closer together than the Heartland model of the Book of Mormon. And it's harder for me to believe a map or a model of where things took place and where they were that has people really close together, civilizations really close together without knowing about the other one. The Gentiles described in the Book of Mormon. The Gentiles described in the Book of Mormon who came to America, who scattered Nephi's descendants and Laman and Lemuel's descendants, were the founders of the United States of America. It's crystal clear. They scattered them. They the Civil War, the Revolutionary War is given a brief description of there, and the Lord gave a revelation to Joseph Smith Jr. wherein he called the Constitution divinely inspired. He never gave a revelation like that about the dictators or fragile democracies of Mexico. DNA. Now, a lack of DNA evidence wouldn't disprove anything, because the Book of Mormon does not claim to be a description of every single person in all of the Western Hemisphere. And the Book of Mormon is even a little bit vague about whether there were other people there mixed up with the Lamanites and Nephites and the Mulekites, or whether they were... And so DNA could get diluted. I mean, DNA is not a listing etched in stone or gold of your entire family tree. There are genetic markers that aren't DNA, but those, you don't have a genetic marker for every one of your descendants for thousands of years. Those things could get weeded out, you know. But there actually is DNA evidence that supports the North American model. There's a haplotype X that's found in North America among the Indians around the Great Lakes. That's not found in Central America or South America. And this haplotype X is also found in the Middle East. Ancient Hebrew inscriptions. I have never heard about any ancient Hebrew inscriptions being found anywhere but North America. And guess what? Hebrews would probably leave Hebrew inscriptions. Now, of course, some things will rot, but if you know you want something to last, you'll try to find something like stone or gold or lead that's not going to deteriorate to write it on. And there have been a few surviving Hebrew inscriptions that have been found in North America. And maybe more that have been found and then destroyed because of the devil hating the people who are God's people, and hating that there might be evidence that would back up the scriptures. So, thank you for watching. You have a good day. And if you want to learn more about the Book of Mormon, go to Mormon.org or LDS.org, official websites of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.